It's been a great year for music in the life of High Street Methodist Church. The choir is still growing in numbers, as is New Creation. We've got an additional worship group called The Collective, helping out at the 9:15 services. And it's just so exciting to be part of a church that cherishes all types of worship and to be growing the number of musicians and singers who are involved. So that's really been an exciting part of the year. You may have heard that in this last year we've been developing a prayer room. Well, it's ready, it's equipped, and if ever you have a free moment, why don't you just pop up and have a look inside? But better still, go and use it. You'll find resources in there to help you to pray different things depending on how you best encounter God in prayer. And you can go in on your own, or maybe you want to go in with your home group or with a group of friends and specifically have some prayer time together. But please, most of all, just use it. It's a really exciting project. On the Youth Takeover Sundays, not only are the young people starting to lead our worship, but they're serving right across the church in both the services. They're either helping in children's church, or you'll find them in Wesley's serving coffee, or they're welcoming you on the door. It's a great initiative that the youth team have put into place to encourage young people to find their gifts and to use them. And we'll be seeing, I'm sure, preachers and worship leaders coming from these young people as they step out and use their gifts. The Gathering, a special act of worship that takes place on the second Tuesday of every month for adults with additional needs and their carers. It's an absolutely fantastic worship time. The people who come absolutely love it, they really engage with it, and all those people helping will testify what a privilege it is and how much we as helpers together are learning so much more about our amazing God as we participate in this special time of worship.
I love singing. I honestly just love, because I've had lots of wonderful experience with Christ just with singing. Because you're always focusing on, what am I singing? What are the words about? What is the purpose of this service? What is it about to get the congregation with us in just glorifying God, thanking God, praying to Him, asking for His intervention in whatever the circumstances are? It just means that you don't feel kind of isolated. It means that you meet friends, you meet people, because sometimes you come to church and you go home and don't speak to anyone. But if you're with junior church or you're with the choir, you will definitely have at least one conversation, I'm sure it'll be more, before you finish from church, and you'll build those relationships and you'll build those bonds, and that's kind of important because it will get deeper. We have so much potential as High Street. It's not just about numbers, because even if we're meant to be this size, we can still do wonderful things with the things that God has planned for us. So it's about identifying what that is and just having the confidence to know that, hey, we can do this.
Hello, I'm David, and I'm the mission coordinator for equipping God's people. That's the part of church life, helping people to grow in their faith and to equip them for service as Christians. There are four main areas that fall within my remit. The first is home groups. The church currently has something like 18 or 20, maybe more, active home groups, 5 of which are brand new, started up within the last 12 to 18 months. Some meet weekly, some fortnightly, some monthly, but all contribute to the life of a growing church. Another major area of our activities in this realm is the Alpha course. Alpha has for many years been a great encouragement to many as they seek faith and to grow in their faith. Alpha is a great way of exploring difficult questions about your faith, whether you're a new Christian or an experienced Christian. Over the past 2 or 3 years, we've been running these courses in conjunction with Churches Together in Harpenden, and there have been some very lively discussions around key questions like, who is Jesus? Why did Jesus die? How can I have faith? What about the church? And many others. Another recent success has been the Bible course. The Bible course is an 8-week program supplied by the Bible Society, and in the past year over 80 people have attended from this church. It's been held in Wesley's, one evening a week for 8 weeks, and it's a great way of exploring the bigger picture, the big story that the Bible contains right from Genesis through to Revelation.
I've been coming to church, been a Christian for some time now. There's an awful lot about the Bible I didn't know. I knew bits and pieces, I could take a quote from here and there, but in terms of how it all fitted together, how it all interlinked, I didn't think I knew enough. It gave me essentially a toolkit on how to look at the Bible and how to put it into context, how the Old Testament and the New Testament, how it's a journey, how they link together. There's a phrase which comes up quite early on, which I've remembered, so it clearly had some impact, about if you take a text out of context, you're just left with a con. And kind of taking that approach and understanding that one small little bit of the Bible, there is a much wider picture around it, and it gave me a much better understanding of that. High Street, and more particularly the things that are added, not just the High Street on the Sunday, but the things that have been added on have been really important, really helpful for me understanding and applying what it actually means to be a Christian, and just at the very base level, what it means to have a relationship with Jesus and God.
Other areas where people find great help in their faith are attending outside events like Greenbelt, David's Tent, New Wine, Soul Survivor, and of course Spring Harvest, where we've taken a large group each year for many years. This year there will be about 65 of us going to Minehead for the week just before Easter. Spring Harvest provides wonderful Bible teaching, inspiring worship, and seminars that cover some really challenging topics across the whole spectrum of Christian life. I think there are two main lessons that I've learned over many years. The first one is that if ever you have to lead or teach a subject, you learn so much more about it yourself. The second thing is that when you go out to serve others, to take part in giving of yourself to others, you gain much more than you give. So our encouragement is that people should learn to lead and learn to serve.
So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Louise, and I am the mission coordinator for Extending God's Kingdom. So it's taking ourselves out into our community, but it's also about the activities that bring people into church who wouldn't normally come into church, and making them welcome and making them aware of what we do here as well. We have building blocks, which is run twice a week. It's a toddler group for parents and carers and young children, incredibly popular. They come in, it's a time for them to chat and sit and relax, and also to just hear a little bit about the gospel. The song time is geared towards that. Wesley's, again, a really popular thing that the church does, open every morning, all day on Fridays. And it has a whole range of people who come in just for coffee. Some come in with friends, some come in on their own, but it's just a really friendly place to come and have coffee. I also coordinate the Share scheme as well, which is a collection, food collection scheme, where we invite people to make donations, and then those donations are bagged and boxed up and given to local charities and professionals to use in the course of their work. Every month we run something called the Shopper's Lunch. It's for people who live on their own to come and enjoy a cooked meal, which they may not necessarily cook for themselves at home, and to enjoy the friendship of other people possibly in a similar position. So I think a healthy church is lots of people getting involved in a small way.
I help on a Wednesday afternoon with the creative building blocks. I come along every week and organise the craft activity, and I spend a lot of time with the children and talking to the parents. Sometimes I make tea. It tends to be the same people who come every week, so we build up good relationships. And you know, we've seen the last few months that some of the people who come are building up good friendships between each other. So it's nice to see that and encourage that. When you're doing something that you know other people rely on, and you feel like you're doing it for God, and it strengthens how you feel. Personally, I think greater things is recognising what is inside yourself to become more to other people and to the community.
So my name is Pamela Atkins and I'm the coordinator for youth and children's work. So we've had a really exciting year in Children's Church. We've regularly seen upwards of 80 children on a Sunday morning. We look after the little ones and they have a lovely time playing and feeling the love of Jesus. And in the hall we have an exciting session that usually includes some singing, watching a story, doing some craft, playing some games, those sorts of things. Well, this year we've looked at Bible superheroes, we've been looking at the life of Peter. We often make use of the seminar room as well to take the younger ones up for a quieter time of craft or story up there. So we've been trying to build up relationships with our Children's Church families. So we've done things like having a family breakfast in January, which was really popular. We do a fish and chip night with a quiz. We have a great team of volunteers. We support them with a series of evening meetings called Children's Church Connect, where we have social time over a meal and then do a bit of training or discussion about the way that Children's Church is going. We've produced a handbook for all our volunteers so that they feel as if they've got something concrete that they can read before they start helping, so it doesn't seem quite so overwhelming to be part of such a big team. I think all our volunteers find it really rewarding to see how the children are learning and how excited they are about the sorts of things that we do.
I've been helping out in Children's Church for a couple of years now. It works very well. There's a large number of children that we have coming through. On a Friday or Saturday we get a little script of the sort of things that we're going to be doing by the leaders, and then do the register and then help out with the session and do different bits of activities. You know, it's quite interesting to see the children, and we try and keep it fun and interesting for them, but also have messages for them to take away. As I have children there, then sometimes it's quite funny that they come back and you do sometimes have discussions or conversations or just little surprises where things come up in conversation at some point.
To look like a beautiful man. Every Sunday now we run out of cups, so we have about 30 every Sunday morning, probably about 8 to 10 Sunday evenings. Wednesdays we have 20, who are probably half of them come to Friday Night Club, where we have 40. And then doesn't include step lessons, but including them probably about 100 kids each week. There's a youth who's just become a Christian recently, who used to be involved with all the stuff you shouldn't be as a teenager. He's been kicked out of schools, and one of his friends came up to me recently saying how much he's changed. It's like an overnight transformation. And actually, I never would have knew this was the one person who was going to be the guy influencing his course for people not to quit. And he's the one now who I never would have thought was going to be a Christian. And it's just loving and hanging out and not saying that they're bad people because of what they do, but actually it's accepting them for 100% of who they are, because I think that's what God does, right? Every single person has got a gift and a talent that they can give, if that's once every 6 months or once a month, if that's for the youth team as their leaders to help their mental health, or the young people in their mental health. And when we practice what we believe, it grows our faith, but also it makes us better people as well.